Thank you very much for this opportunity and for inviting me to be able to share my views and some of my learnings in the area of early childhood education with all of you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on this very momentous occasion of 10 years of Akshara Foundation. It's really a very significant milestone, I think, in the life of any institution, and especially one which is doing such laudable work for children. As I was telling Ashok a minute back, that I've come primarily with the idea of learning more from your experience here, because now that I'm associated with the Delhi Trust of Pratham more significantly, we would like to take a lot of learnings back from here and try to implement some of that there. Having said that, since I have 5 minutes, no, how many, 10 minutes only, I think I'll have to race through my slides, because I have slides, unfortunately. I just take up the most significant thing in each slide, because, and please pardon me if those slides just flash past without any, sorry?
No, they wonder whether they need to get up.
Okay. Well, they get a crick in the neck if they want to see the slide.
We want to see, maybe, this here.
Maybe you could tell me when the 10 minutes start. Okay, anyway, I'll start it for myself. I think the most significant line in this slide is the one at the bottom. The early years of a child's life last a lifetime. I don't think I have to say anything new in this presentation to a group of people who are really committed already to this field. I think all I can do is reassure you that you're on the right track. That's about all this presentation will do to you, because I see a group of people, so it's like talking to the converted. But anyway, sorry, I'm jumping. I don't think I need to go into this. Most people have a lot of confusion about early childhood education in terms of the acronyms that we use, ECC, ECD, PSC, so on and so forth. Just last week somebody was telling me he met a director who said, what are you talking about early childhood education? We are dealing with preschool non-formal education. So that kind of a thing. So again, I don't think I need to go into what early childhood education is, but essentially here and globally now we are talking about early childhood education and development, one in an integrated mode where we are talking about health, nutrition, water, sanitation, education, all to be seen together as very critical for the development and education of children. And the second thing is we are talking about the education, the span, that is from birth to 8 years, not just 6 years. I think I'll just dwell a little more on this, because here, this is where the confidence building comes, that we are all on the right track. There is a lot of, initially there was more of conjecture and speculation, but now there is very confirmed evidence, particularly from neuroscience and economics, on how important the early years are. There is global research now which shows that having compensated for the home background, especially with the children who are coming from poorer backgrounds, there is not only immediate impact, medium-term impact, but long-term impact. And that has been confirmed across countries, but largely in the Western world. It has shown that there is improvement not only in children's health, cognitive ability, academic performance, and school retention. Shantaji was talking about the whole issue, the whole what should we say, concerns about dropouts. In India itself, we have evidence of almost 38,000 children, with the study that I was associated with, where we found that it made a difference of almost as much as 10 to 15% in the retention rates of children if they had just been to a preschool, irrespective of the quality, merely participation. But the most significant point here is the long-term benefits. That is where early years of a child's life last a lifetime. There's enough research now to show that participation in a good quality preschool program benefits in terms of higher incomes later, higher incidence of home in ownership, which is an indicator of prosperity, lower propensity to be on welfare, and lower rates of incarceration and arrest. So you can see what a kind of a latent impact there is, which can be captured even in the adult life, just mere participation. And no wonder we say these are the formative years, or these are the years, in Hindi we say sanskar bachon ke padhte hain. This is another confidence building slide. which shows why are we so much stuck on preschool? Why are we saying that preschool is so important or early years are so important? Because here, as you can see, the brain development, the cumulative brain growth that takes place in the child, as you can see from this slide, almost 85% is already done by the time the child is 2.5 years old. So it's even 3 to 6 sometimes becomes late, because it is more important to focus right in the beginning, when the child is not even 2, in the first 2 years of life, where nutrition can play a very significant role, and that is a stage when nutrition becomes a very important intervention. So we need to think in terms of early childhood education and development more holistically, and ensure that the child's nutritional status, the water sanitation facilities, all those are also taken care of if we want children to really learn well. This is another slide which has some implications for the curriculum. I find this is again from brain research, which shows that many of the competencies that we talk about, cognitive, social, the critical period for development of those competencies actually lies in the early 6 years. If you see from this red bands that you can see here, you can see, for example, peer social skills. Like it starts from 3.5 to 6.5. This is the age group when it is very critical. So when we are expecting our 2-year-old and a 2.5-year-old to start sharing and cooperating and playing with other children, are we not being unrealistic? That is because the child is not yet mature. So this brings in the whole issue of maturity, readiness, and the importance to strike when it is hot. That is when the critical period is there, because that is a time when the child learns very fast. For example, language, if you see, the language bar is from, say, 6 months to 4.5 years. And that is a time when the child must get a very good language environment. We are so concerned about reading. Reading is also a language skill, but it is also goes very integrally with listening and speaking. And if the child gets a very rich, very good environment in the first 4 years of life, the child is bound to push on to effective reading and writing skills as well. So these are some of the critical periods that we need to address, and therefore the importance of what we should do in preschool, what we should be doing in order to promote and make the most of the opportunity of these critical periods. This is the economic argument, which again says that there is significant returns from early childhood investment, and especially when you compare in terms of the wastage and stagnation that happens at the primary stage. This evidence is from Brazil, which says that total cost program for pupils up to grade 2 was 11% lower for those who participated in ECCE as compared to those who did not. This is an argument for the government that we are often told when we are trying to advocate for investment in early childhood that when we don't have funds for primary, how can we have funds for early childhood? So the amount of saving that can happen at the primary stage if you invest in early childhood. And the recent longitudinal studies indicated that the returns are to the tune of every dollar invested gives you a return of $12.9 saved. I think I'll skip this. Basically, it's the same thing, that what are the main learnings that are coming, and they're related to the continuum and to the holistic development of children. This one I will not even attempt to decipher for you. It's only to tell you that there's enough policy. There are any number of policies in the country related to children, but we know what the situation is on the ground. ECE rights issue has already been mentioned by Shanta ji in the morning, that we are very concerned that it is not been included in the right to education. It started from only 6 years, and the first 6 years have been left out. It has been provided for under Section 11 as governments may make necessary arrangements for preschool education. So the may word again puts it in a little bit of a hold. I was very happy to see that Karnataka government has in their model, what do they call, rules, included preschool education. So I think that's really a landmark initiative and needs to be emulated by others. Another thing that we need to be very clear on is what are the priorities when we are talking about the right to education and the right for the early childhood. There are two different things when we talk of school education and when we talk about early childhood. But school education, to my mind, is a much simpler concept because it is about providing schools, ensuring children come into schools and so on, and that's it. Here we are talking about a very different cup of tea, because here the priorities at the different sub-stages are very different. What they are, I won't go into because of my time shortage, but we must take that into cognizance, that it involves health, it involves nutrition, it involves care, and therefore, I don't think that, I mean, we need to advocate, but we need to also work out how this right will be implemented. What will be the costs involved? What will be the strategies involved? And here I see Archana here, and I was hoping that we could do something together on this in terms of the legal requirements of this. These are all figures, data. We all know about all this. Essentially, a very significant equity issue, early childhood education. We all know rural-urban divide. We know the gender. I don't know about Karnataka, but across the country, where parents can afford even a little, they perceive the quality of the private preschools is better than the Anganwadis, and therefore the boys go to the private preschools and the girls go to the Anganwadis. So I don't know what is the situation in India, in Karnataka. There are huge variations interstate and so on. Socioeconomic is also very significant. When I was looking at this, the title of the colloquium today, equitable quality for all, and I was trying to unpack it in my own mind, what does equitable quality really mean? It does not necessarily mean the same quality that is available to a child from a better socioeconomic background, because what his receptivity, his own preparation to utilize that facility also has to be taken into account. So when we are talking about equitable quality, we have to ensure that the child is at the same level to be able to take advantage of whatever is offered to the child. And I think that's where very significantly early childhood education comes in to compensate for that deprivation. What are the main issues here? I'll just quickly run through them. One of them is the developmentally inappropriate practice in terms of the curriculum, and there are no standards for preschool education, and therefore what is happening is that there is very little understanding of what should happen at the preschool stage. And I would just like to dwell a little more on this particular slide, because I think it is important from the point of view of advocating for the right kind of preschool education. I will go back to the slide I showed you on the critical bands in from the brain research, and say that it is what is happening at the moment is, whether it is a public sector or the private sector, there is a lot of downward extension of the primary curriculum. Even now, our first effort is to start teaching children reading and writing and numbers, whether they are 2 years old, 3 years old, or 6 years old. So somewhere we have to take this into account, that what is happening by way of putting that kind of academic pressure or converting the program of early childhood into a primary curriculum. The problem that comes, I mean, I think basically what happens is there's not enough acknowledgement of the fact that the child at that stage is not really maturationally or experientially ready for the curriculum at the primary stage, and which shows up later. How does it show up later is, there are many people who say that I think this thinking is outdated. Now children can learn much more. You send children to a preschool, they learn alphabets, they learn numbers, they learn how to read and write, they do mathematics. So what is the problem? Where is the problem? Now again, this impact on children, I think that is what we need to really take in very seriously. This is again coming from research, it is not my own concoction. First of all, when we are introducing, for example, mathematics concepts too early, simple number concept even, leave alone addition or subtraction, too early, the child is not maturationally ready for it. So how does the child learn? The child is able to deliver essentially because the child rote memorizes. And all the answers, the right answers the child gets, the A's the child gets, do not really reflect that the child has really understood the concepts. And what happens is, it gives a very weak foundation for all subsequent learning, because that is what builds the curriculum further. The second point is a very interesting point. This was given by Professor Lillian Katz, who's a very well-known educationist in early childhood scientist, I would say, in US. She's given this whole concept of damaged disposition hypothesis. When we're talking about the methodologies for teaching reading and writing, when we're talking about the curriculum, we normally take into cognizance what is the cognitive aspect of it, but we don't take into cognizance what is the attitudinal, interest, motivational aspects related to it. And what this has shown is that if you introduce academic instruction too early in life, in the early childhood years, what happens is the children do learn. They learn the skills. It's not that they don't learn, but because of the pressure or the unrealistic expectation involved, they develop a negative association with that learning. And as a result, the skills are learned, it becomes counterproductive. The skills are learned, but the disposition to use those skills is reduced. I don't know whether the point has come through clearly, but basically, you don't find children really interested in reading as much as they would be, because the association with reading has become a negative association related to school and pressure. A third point is
accessible, affordable childcare matters to Georgians. It matters to Georgia's employers. It matters to Georgia's communities. It matters to Georgia's children. And most of all, high-quality childcare matters to Georgia's moms. About 7 in every 10 mothers are in the workforce in Georgia. And about 1 in every 3 households of children under 5 years old are headed by a single parent. Childcare is really expensive. In Georgia, it can cost almost as much as a year of tuition in an in-state college or university, and about 34% of a single parent's income. High-quality childcare gives children the boost they need to be successful in school and in life, and it allows parents to be productive in the workforce. But the high cost of childcare can keep mothers out of the workforce or in part-time, low-paying jobs as they work to piece together childcare arrangements for their children. While the childcare community supports about $13.6 billion annually, it only works if parents can go to work. And so that is why Georgia, like many states around the country, provides subsidized childcare for low-income working parents. That helps support parents as they seek to support their families by going to work. Unfortunately, in Georgia, due to funding restraints, we only serve about 8% of parents and families who qualify for these childcare subsidies. We simply have to do more to support these families and their children. That's why we are advocating in the General Assembly this year for more state funding for our childcare subsidies so we can support these families and they can support their children by going to work. And we urge you to support us by helping advocate every day with your legislators for childcare affordability, accessibility, and quality in Georgia.
Today we're actually handing out the Child Care Awards of Excellence and the Legacy Awards. It happens once a year. We get hundreds of entrants, the folks that are nominated, both individuals, municipalities and organizations, and it's a chance to recognize those that go above and beyond.
It makes me feel really honored and proud, and only doing this for 4 years, it makes me feel really special that my short time has meant a lot.
I got into early childhood education because of my love of children's music, and I have had the good fortune to work in parent participation preschool for the last 12 years. So it means a lot to me that the parents in my preschool put the nomination forward so that I could be here today.
We are operated through a very multicultural, diverse society where all these new immigrant families come with the hope too that they'll find a good child care for their child. And I'm glad to be part of the, their children's early life and making an impact on their life. My favorite quote is, young children are like wet cement. Anything falls on them leaves an impression. So.
Santaguida. My name's Nelia Madera. We worked together at one of another center, and we always talked about how we would open up our own center together. We created this proposal to operate a childcare center. That was our lifelong dream. And in 1989, we did get an opportunity to be able to make that dream come true. We started working with a volunteer board of directors to create a not-for-profit childcare center to service the Maple community. We opened up in January of 1990, and at that time we had 16 children and 3 staff. The 3 staff were myself, Marilyn, and Mary. At that point, you know, it was kind of challenging. It was brand new to us, a brand new area, brand new families. We wanted to make sure that we provided a great program for the children. That was our vision.
We did what it took to get the job done. It meant around the clock sometimes, where our own families were here, providing support and having dinners together at the center as we prepared and did the after hours work that we couldn't get done during the day.
Having to wear many hats, we did everything from opening the center, closing the center, building toys, cooking. Marilyn was our cook for a couple of months, so that was kind of challenging, and trying to do office work and meet parents and orient staff.
We quickly moved from 16 children to full enrollment probably September of 1990, where we had 44 children, both I guess from preschool to kindergarten and a few school-aged children. And we worked really hard. We were passionate about what we were doing, and we worked as a team.
We then opened up St. Joan of Arc Child Care Center in 1994, and then from there we opened up our school-age programs, Blessed Trinity, St. Cecilia's, St. Michael the Archangel, and Our Lady of Peace.
And we couldn't do that without the support of our families. The trust that families had in our organization, in our ability to provide a safe, nurturing environment for their children. We couldn't do that without the staff, the knowledgeable staff that we've had over the years, the commitment and loyalty from the staff, and the staff that believed in our mission and provided that to our children through their programs and their interactions with children and families. We are very proud of all of our programs. We are proud of our staff, and we are very excited to be able to continue to provide the highest of quality care to all of our children and their families.
The one message that I would like to have parents know is a great big thank you. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Personally, I'm very proud of following through with a vision and being able to build on that vision and to have been able to live up to my high standards with respect to what a quality child program should be for all children, and that all children should have that opportunity. And I'm very proud that I was able to live up to that dream, and I'm very excited to be able to continue to provide that for families and children moving forward.
Joanne Lipa. I had 3 children in the program, and I first started in the program in, or brought my children in the program in 1999. I had 2 children who began, and I have to say that I lived in Maple already about 5 years, and it was quite an extensive search to find the right childcare for my kids. I had been to quite a few in Maple, but the minute I walked into the St. Joan of Arc location, and I was greeted by Nelia, I got a good feeling, and they were all about the development of the kids and the nutrition, and it was all about the children.
Lucy Ercoleo. I had 3 children at the center throughout the years, and I wanted to be part of making a difference within the community at the board level. I wanted to be able to know in depth the programs that my children were involved in, and to be able to be a part of giving back to the center, and to help guide the center wherever possible, and to lend whatever expertise that I had in terms of being able to help the center and the corporation make decisions. But first and foremost, it was just to be able to give back to the community and to the center.
Now, a lot of people did say to me, 3 kids in daycare, isn't it easier to get a nanny? And I you know, it probably would have been more economical and a lot less work in the morning and for a nanny. However, the childcare allowed me to go to work with peace of mind.
As a parent, the experience was a wonderful experience. Part of the center's mission is to ensure that the center is a home away from home for the children. And as a parent, it's challenging enough knowing that you have to leave your children behind to go to work. And knowing that they're in an environment that's there to nurture them, to care for them, and to truly treat them like they're part of an extended family makes it easier.
Daniela Cristofero. When I was 17 years old, I came to volunteer in the summer at St. Joan of Arc Child Care Center, and I still remember my first day. I was in the Dalmatian room, so it was our preschool children, and I just fell in love. The children, being around them, one in particular, this little girl with a Pebbles ponytail on the top of her head, her little belly top and yellow shorts, who was actually Nelia's daughter, Kristen Madeira. One look at her and I couldn't leave her side all day. So I remember going home and saying to my mom, that is the best job ever. I continued to volunteer throughout the summer. I started at Father John Kelly that September, and an opportunity came for me to work part-time. Just one afternoon a week, I took it right away. And the rest is history. I mean, from there, I decided to enroll in the apprenticeship program so that I can continue to work at the centers, but also still get my ECE diploma. I was able to do my hours, my placement hours at the center. I continued to grow within the organization.
And I like staying involved because their mission is all about the kids. And I truly believe that, you know, having had 3 kids who successfully went through the program, and I am thrilled with it, that helping other parents to continue this positive program is part of me giving back to what they did for my kids.
As soon as, you know, the parents leave, the children adjust, they adapt, and it was just wonderful to see how quickly the kids just are embraced and become part of the program and truly a home away from home. So it's very comforting to know that your children are really well cared for while you're not there.
It's actually gone full circle because now both my children attend the centers, one in the toddler room and one before and after school here at Father John Kelly. There's nowhere else that I would bring my kids. This is my home away from home.
Thank you to the Community of Maple Child Care Center and Nelia and Marilyn and all the staff. They're great. And my kids still talk about their days at the daycare.
Thank you for every opportunity that I've had here. Thank you for all the role modeling, all the guidance, all the direction. Thank you for helping me realize what I wanted to do with my life. Thank you for the quality childcare that you provide for my children and for the community. And congratulations on 25 years.
I like coming here because there's lots of crafts and I have lots of fun here, especially in KK3, so I can use Lumia and the computers. And I like making soup here. It's really fun. I also like doing lots of science experiments at the science table.
There's lots of activities like painting, coloring, and all the teachers are nice.
I really like this place because of the nice teachers and what we're able to do here. We can have fun, play outside, build snowmen and other things outside. And we are able to play with Lego and other things I like.
I love this school and I love these teachers. They're so nice. They let everybody do anything they want as long as we're being good.
Coming back to school because all my friends are here and I like to cheer people on. I like coming to the before and after school, the before and after school program because I play with my friends, we have iPads, and we go to the gym sometimes. I like after school because I was here since I was a baby. The teachers are nice and we do fun activities. Daycare helped me because it helped
They help us with homework. They help us if we ever get hurt to heal us. We can make new friends.
The games that they have require thinking, which is good for your mind. My favorite memory in OLP1 was making chocolate.
What I like about this daycare is all the fun activities that I'm allowed to do, especially dance.